Southwest 3216 only tired, runway 24 right for last.
Hello and welcome to the CAT-09 rating. This is the 9th flight in the VFR Communication Airspace Training Series on the PilotEdge network. Today we'll be flying from Burbank, California down to Fullerton, California. And right in between us is the Los Angeles Class Bravo airspace. So today's flight is going to focus on navigating around the Bravo, and we're actually going to be using something called a flyway. We'll discuss that in just a minute. As with all videos, make sure you read the textual portion of the briefing here on the CAT-09 page prior to watching this video, so it'll put things in better perspective for you. The rating calls for us to receive flight following while en route. It gives us the option of picking it up on the ground or in the air. As we did with the CAT-8, it's much easier to do it on the ground if we're going to be getting it anyways, so we might as well just do that. So let's head over to SkyVector for our flight plan, and we have planned Burbank over to Fullerton. We're going to overfly the Rose Bowl and then overfly El Monte Airport. You remember El Monte from the CAT-7 rating. And then we'll head down to Fullerton. I'm going to be using a little bit of a hybrid of navigation today. After we depart Burbank, I'm just going to head over for the Rose Bowl. It should be pretty easy to find on an easterly heading. And then after the Rose Bowl, we will navigate visually over to the El Monte Airport. And off of El Monte, I'm going to use a hybrid between looking at my GPS to stay beneath this Class Bravo shelf, which we'll talk about in just a moment, and on about a 145 heading. That'll make sure that we stay within this shelf, and it'll put us on a good maybe 3 to 4 mile right base into Fullerton. Now you may have noticed already I'm using the Los Angeles fly chart. You'll see that up here in the top right. We discussed the different charts back in the CAT-8 rating that SkyVector has available to you, and they're also just the charts that the FAA publishes that are available in your local pilot store as well. But the Los Angeles fly chart includes something that you are not going to find on the TAC, at least quite yet. And you'll notice that that is these shaded blue arrows here. These are what are known as flyways. Now let's head over to the AIM, and we're going to figure out exactly what flyways are as described in the AIM. So the AIM here says that VFR flyways are designed to help VFR pilots avoid major controlled traffic flows. It further goes on to say that these routes are not intended to discourage requests for VFR operations within Class Bravo airspace, but are designed solely to assist pilots in planning for flights around and under busy Class Bravo airspace without actually entering the Class Bravo. So knowing that, we'll head back over to this sectional. We'll take a look at these shaded blue arrows. But first off, I should mention the actual Class Bravo airspace, as this is the first time that we're actually encountering the Class Bravo. Class Bravo is denoted by this blue line. All these blue lines indicate the Class Bravo associated with the blue altitudes that you see. This is the Los Angeles International Airport Class Bravo airspace. If you want to learn more about Class Bravo airspaces, go ahead and check out the PilotEdge workshop video on airspace that's linked in the top right of this video. But you'll often hear them referred to as upside down wedding cakes. And that's just because they will all focus around the primary airport, in this case Los Angeles, and they will extend down to the surface, obviously the airport, in this case up to 10,000 feet MSL. As we get further and further away from the airport, for instance in our flight path today, it only goes down to 4,000 feet. 4,000 MSL is the floor of the Bravo, but it still extends up to 10,000 MSL. As we get even further away, the outermost shelf is 9,000 to 10,000. It's only a 1,000-foot shelf out here. That's why if you were able to look at this three-dimensionally and turn it over, you would see what resembles somewhat of a wedding cake. So knowing that that is the Bravo airspace, we can look at these shaded blue arrows, these flyways as they're called, and you can see how they effectively navigate around and underneath the Bravo. You'll see that there's no flyway that's going directly through the Bravo, at least at the point where it goes down to the surface. And in fact, the flyways don't go through the Bravo at all. They help you get around the Bravo. It essentially just helps you, instead of having to look at the TAC and figure out what the best way to get from point A to point B is, you can look at the flyway, and if you're not interested in getting a Class Bravo transition, which we will deal with later in the CAT ratings, you can instead choose to follow one of the flyways, and that'll just give you a good start as to how to navigate around or underneath the Bravo without busting it. In today's flight, we'll be using this flyway here. Now, this flyway extends from El Monte Airport down to Fullerton Airport, which is perfect considering we'll be navigating directly overhead El Monte and then down to Fullerton. Now, it's very important to know the flyways are just recommendations. They're not required, they're not specific routes, and you don't have to talk to ATC at all because you're not entering any sort of Charlie or Bravo airspace. With that being said, you'll notice that the altitude here recommends being below 3,500 feet. Well, that's because the Bravo airspace begins at 4,000 feet, so that's keeping us a nice 500 feet beneath the Bravo. However, because we will be southeastbound, my assumption is any traffic that's going northwestbound might be shooting to fly that 2,500 to 3,000 foot range. So just to keep us above them, yet still below the Bravo, today we're going to cruise right at 3,500. And even though that goes directly against what this flyway says, remember that the flyways are simply recommendations. We could also fly this flight perfectly using the TAC chart, in which case there is no sort of recommended altitude, and I would still just fly at 3,500 feet to get beneath the Bravo airspace. But we do have the luxury of having a recommended route, so we're going to use that at least for the lateral navigation, and we'll be right at 3,500 for our cruise today. That will also keep us nicely above the El Monte class Delta, and it'll keep us above the Fullerton class Delta to make sure that we don't accidentally get too close and bust the Fullerton airspace as we near Fullerton. Fullerton's a little bit of an unusual class Delta, as you can see. It's more of a rectangular shape rather than the typical class Delta, which is just a circle. That's our flight plan. We hop in the cockpit. I'm going to go ahead and check the ATIS, and then we'll get ready to call clearance delivery.
VFR departures, contact clearance delivery. Advise on course heading, altitude, and if flight following is requested.
Okay, so the only part of the ATIS that I actually played for you all in the video is that part where it talks about VFR departures, contact clearance delivery with your on-course heading and altitude, and if you want flight following. You'll often hear this at Class Charlies or Bravos, and sometimes even a Class Delta. That's why it's really important to always get the ATIS before you make any sort of radio calls, because they might have some sort of important information in there like that. And this way, although we've already talked about that at Charlie, you're going to call clearance delivery anyways for your VFR departure, but this just solidifies the fact that you should call them. Now, again, like I said, some Deltas might even have this, so always listen up for the ATIS, and they might have special instructions on who to contact for your departure. With all that said, we're going to tune the Burbank clearance delivery frequency of 118.0, and we'll give them a call. Burbank clearance, Skyhawk 210 Pop Echo. Request flight following to Fullerton, Skyhawk cruising at 3,500 feet with information Victor. And this is for the CAT-09 rating.
Number 210 Pop Echo, Burbank clearance on departure, proceed on course southeastbound. Maintain VFR at 2,500 until advised. Departure frequency 134.2, squawk 2256.
After departure, proceed on course to the southeast at 2,500 feet, 134.2, squawk 2256, Skyhawk 0 Pop Echo.
0 Pop Echo, read back correct.
Alright, so in the CAT-8, if you watch that video, we got specific departure instructions out of Santa Barbara. It was runway heading and 1,500 feet, if I recall correctly. Now, here, we're just getting on course approved to the southeast, but we still have an altitude. So that's why you always want to grab that pen and paper, be ready for whatever they're going to give you. Now, they also gave us a departure frequency, and most importantly right now, a squawk code, which we're going to type in. All right, that's set. We're going to turn our transponder to the altitude mode. I will do that in the client since I'm flying with Flight Simulator 2020. X-Plane users can do that in their actual sim cockpit. For now, I'm just going to hold on to the departure frequency. We'll tune that as we get over to the runway. Our on-course heading is 092 according to SkyVector, so we're going to just bug that for now of 092 on course, as we will be making that turn just after departure as we were instructed to do so. Before we get taxiing, let's do a brief rundown of our departure out of Burbank and our arrival into Fullerton. Just a real quick flight today. So we're going to depart Burbank, our Class Charlie airport, and proceed on course to the southeast. We'll stay at 2,500 feet until further advised. We can expect a frequency change over to departure, which we know already is 134.2. At that point, departure will hopefully at some point tell us to resume on navigation, and our altitudes will be our discretion, and we'll be on our way. So we'll proceed over to the Rose Bowl, overfly that, and then head over to El Monte. We should be well at 3,500 at this point, so we will not have to worry about penetrating the El Monte class Delta. After we overfly El Monte, we'll make a right turn on about a 146 heading, and we'll also be using our GPS to make sure we stay within this Bravo shelf. We don't want to stray out to the west because the Bravo out here is 2,500 to 10,000, and at this point we'll be at 3,500 feet. Now, this is a good time for me to explain briefly why we cannot penetrate the Class Bravo airspace. Class Bravo airspace is the most restrictive airspace that a VFR pilot has access to. And with that, you need a specific VFR clearance. We've talked a lot about in the past with Class Deltas, you just need that two-way radio communication. We dealt with that in the first few CAT ratings. Class Charlies, we've gotten into this a lot, that you need two-way radio communication and a Mode C transponder. Well, now we're throwing Bravos into the mix. Bravos are one step further, and you need a specific clearance. So you need the two-way radio communication, Mode C transponder, and a specific cleared into, or cleared to enter, or cleared through, or cleared out of the X Bravo airspace. In this case, it'd be the Los Angeles Class Bravo airspace. Without that Class Bravo clearance, without that specific cleared into or cleared through, you need to hear the words cleared and Bravo. Cleared something into, out of, through the Los Angeles Bravo airspace. Unless you hear that, you may not penetrate the Bravo airspace. So Bravo airspace is incredibly restrictive, and rightfully so. It's incredibly busy, and this is the final approach course into Los Angeles. Because of that, we want to make sure that we not only stay beneath 4,000 feet, we'll be at 3,500 today as we previously briefed, but we don't want to clip this shelf here, which is 2,500. Just because we're talking to SoCal approach, in no means allows us to penetrate Bravo airspace without a specific clearance. Approach will not give us that clearance unless we ask for it, and today we are not going to be asking for it. That's not the purpose of the CAT-09. The purpose of the CAT-09 actually is to miss the Bravo airspace and utilize the Flyway recommended routing to get down to Fullerton. So as we navigate between El Monte and Fullerton at 3,500, we'll start looking for Fullerton off our 1 o'clock. And at some point we will report it in sight, and we'll ask to cancel flight following, or the approach controller might switch us over to Fullerton Tower before that happens. It really could go either way. And then we will contact Fullerton Tower and expect either right traffic for runway 24 or left traffic for runway 6. One more time, I'll point out the Fullerton Delta begins just beneath 2,500. They own from the surface up to and not including 2,500 feet. So we just need to make sure we keep it at or above 2,500, but below 4,000 for the Bravo until we make contact with Fullerton Tower. Okay, that's it for the briefing. Let's get ready to taxi here at Burbank. We're located at the FBO just off of Bravo 3 here, west of Bravo, and ground control is 123.9er. While I'm here, I'm going to also put in the tower frequency of 118.7. Okay, I've got both of those set, and let's call ground. Burbank ground, Skyhawk 210 Pop Echo at Millionaire FBO, ready to taxi with information Victor.
210 Pop Echo, Burbank ground, runway 15, taxi via Bravo.
Runway 15, taxi via Bravo, Skyhawk 0 Pop Echo. Okay, we're now short of runway 15 at the full length, and we're going to swap over to the tower, and we'll get our departure frequency at this point of 134.2. Burbank Tower, Skyhawk 210 Pop Echo, holding short of runway 15 for a southeast departure.
We're 210 Pop Echo, Burbank Tower, runway 15, cleared for takeoff.
Cleared for takeoff, runway 15, Skyhawk 0 Pop Echo. Alright, upwind now off runway 15, and we will begin that left turn out to the southeast on course as instructed by clearance delivery. We're also climbing up to maintain 2,500 feet, so I'll watch that.
0 Pop Echo, radar attack to contact SoCal departure.
Switching to SoCal, Cessna 0 Pop Echo day. SoCal, Skyhawk 210 Pop Echo, climbing through 1,800 for 2,500.
November 210 Pop Echo, SoCal departure, resume on navigation and appropriate VFR altitudes.
Resume on navigation and appropriate VFR altitude 0 Pop Echo. Okay, so you heard him tell us those two things. One was resume on navigation, and the other one being our own altitudes. Those are two different pieces of information. The own navigation basically allows us to do something other than to the southeast if we wanted to. We don't. We want to keep going southeast bound, but our previous instruction was to proceed on course to the southeast. So if we, for instance, wanted to go out to Camarillo and head out west of the coast, we could not have done that. But at this point we could, because he has given us our own lateral navigation. Additionally, he gave us our own vertical navigation. He said VFR altitudes at discretion or resume appropriate VFR altitudes. All these things could basically mean the same thing. And so that then permits us to make any climbs or descents that we need to. In that case, that removes our 2,500 restriction that we previously had. So we're on our way up now to 3,500. So at this point we're navigating over to the Rose Bowl, which I don't quite have in sight yet, but I know it's out this way. The only other thing we want to be sure of is that we maintain 3,500 because even though we're not directly beneath the Bravo airspace yet, here I'll pull up the map to show you about where we are. We are right here, so the Rose Bowl should be just off our nose here. We should see it come into view pretty quickly. And so we're still well in the Charlie airspace, which is fine though. We're talking to SoCal. And then eventually though, we are going to make our turn at the Rose Bowl, our turn at Monte Airport, and that will put us beneath the Bravo. So just as good practice, we will hold that 3,500 and make sure we don't climb too high and put us in danger of violating Bravo airspace. Now additionally, we want to make sure we don't stray too far to the southeast here because, as you can see, this shelf here of the Bravo goes down to 2,500 feet. So if we were to go on a due southeast bound heading, on like a 135, 145 heading, we would eventually clip this 2,500 shelf. Okay, and right here you can see the Rose Bowl. So this is the football stadium that we've been navigating for, just right there to the left of the panel. So we're going to overfly that, and then we're leveling right here at 3,500. Now we're going to start looking for El Monte Airport.
210 Papa Echo, contact SoCal approach 135.4.
135.4, Cessna 0 Papa Echo. Alright, so that controller is switching us over to another approach controller. SoCal approach, Cessna 210 Papa Echo, 3,500.
210 Papa Echo, SoCal approach, Fullerton, altimeter 299er, uniform is current.
299er, we'll pick up uniform, Cessna 0 Papa Echo. Okay, and now we've got El Monte Airport in sight. That's this giant piece of asphalt / concrete out here. So we're going to overfly El Monte, and we will begin a right turn down to Fullerton after that. We're going to pick up the ATIS at this point. As I've talked in other videos, Flight Simulator 2020 at this point does not allow the monitoring of two different frequencies. So in the past I've used the website pilotedge.net/ATIS in order to grab the ATIS, but today I'm actually going to request to go off frequency. So you'll hear how that sounds in just a second. In the meantime, we're going to get the ATIS ready, and the ATIS frequency at Fullerton is 125.05. So we're going to get that ready, so we're ready to swap over right when he tells us it's approved. Alright, 125.05, and now we'll ask. SoCal approach, Skyhawk 0 Papa Echo, request 1 minute off frequency to get the ATIS at Fullerton.
0 Papa Echo, just advise when.
Thank you. Okay, so that's approved. So we'll swap over information uniforms. This is when you start copying down the information. Okay, so I've picked up information uniform at Fullerton, and I'm just overhead El Monte Airport now. So we're going to start that right turn to a 146 heading. And we'll bug that just so we've got it in here. Now remember, this heading is the heading that's going to put us beneath the Bravo airspace. This is an important one. If anything, we want to cheat a little bit shy of it. That's not to say we have to cheat either way, but if you're going to miss the heading, it's better to miss out to the east because you've got higher Class Bravo airspace out here. Class Bravo out to the west extends lower, so we don't want to miss west. If anything, we want to miss east. And you can see El Monte Airport off our left there. So heading back straight ahead, we're looking. I told you at the beginning I'd be navigating with a kind of a pseudo using heading. So we're on that 145 heading, and then I'm also looking at our GPS here. So this sliver of Class Bravo, this blue line, is what we cannot hit. That is the line where the Bravo begins at 2,500 versus in this sliver it begins at 4,000. So we're currently at 3,500. This is also why it's always important to make sure you have an updated altimeter setting, which obviously we just got. We got that both from approach control and we got it from the ATIS. So we know our altitude is correct, and we are 500 feet below the Bravo, which is great. Obviously with all this, we're always scanning for other traffic, especially because we're on that flyway. So it could actually be a fairly common way for people to get beneath the Bravo here, and it could cause and it could create a lot of traffic around this route. So we want to make sure we're always looking for traffic, especially when you're on a flyway or some sort of published routing. Now while we monitor our course and altitude, let's also just brief our arrival real quick. So into Fullerton, they're using runway 24 per ATIS information uniform, so we can expect right traffic in there. And we're going to taxi, we're going to exit the runway to the south, and we'll park at the base of the tower as we like doing. So we'll plan probably a echo exit and then just straight ahead to the base of the tower. Let's talk about what's about to happen when we get the airport in sight. So one of two things could happen here, and that is that the approach controller could either switch us to the tower, in which case it would just sound like contact Fullerton Tower, or if you hear radar service terminated, and especially if they give us a squawk VFR, that basically means that they are taking us out of the air traffic system, in which case Fullerton Tower has no idea that we're coming. It's important to differentiate the two of these, because if Fullerton Tower knows we're coming, this is similar to the CAT-08 rating, where when you landed at Burbank, the Burbank tower controller knew you were coming because you came from SoCal approach, and they handed your flight plan information off through the radar system to the tower. So the tower knew everything about you when you called up. However, if you hear radar service terminated squawk VFR contact tower, then the tower might not know anything about you. In fact, probably they don't, and there's no sort of communication that's occurring between the approach controller and the tower. So because of that, you have to call up like you're just a brand new aircraft, never having talked to air traffic control during your flight. And you call up.
Radar service is terminated. Contact Fullerton Tower.
Switching to Fullerton Tower, Cessna 0 Papa Echo Day. Alright, well, just like that, we got the switch over to Fullerton, and we're slightly behind the aircraft now because I didn't have the tower frequency tuned in. So make sure you do that before I did. So 19.1 for the tower, and we'll tune ground here in just a second. But let's just figure out our bearings. So I can see the Fullerton class Delta here on the GPS. And again, remember, we have our altitude working for us. The Fullerton class Delta does not begin until just below 2,500 feet. So we can start our descent here. As long as we keep it 2,500 feet or above, we'll remain above the Fullerton class Delta. Now, additionally, we want to make sure we know our position report. We're about 5 miles north of the airport, and that's what we're going to report when we call the tower. Fullerton Tower, Skyhawk 210 Pop Echo is 5 miles to the north out of 3,200 feet to land with uniform.
We're 210 Pop Echo, Fullerton Tower, enter right base, runway 24, clear to land.
And a right base, runway 24, clear to land, Cessna 0 Pop Echo.
VOR Alpha or 2 Charlie Alpha?
We're 2 Charlie Alpha, roger, you're with Santa Barbara approach. Cross Morro Bay, VOR at 4,000, clear.
Fullerton Tower, Skyhawk 0 Pop Echo is clear at Echo. Request taxi to the base of the tower.
0 Papa Echo Alpha to parking, this frequency passed for CAT-09.
Taxi Alpha the ramp, this frequency, and thank you, Cessna 0 Pop Echo. Well, another pass on a CAT rating. That is the CAT-9. We'll see you for the CAT-10, where we're actually going to be transitioning a Class Bravo airspace. That'll be next. We'll see you then.